Hello, welcome everyone. Are you battling self-care? Are you thinking about everybody else and taking care of everyone around you but yourself? You're thinking you don't have time. You're thinking, but I don't have time. It's not an option. Take care of me. These are some of the topics that Dr. Noor Ali and myself are going to be discussing today about self-care. It is not an option. Thank you everyone for listening to another episode here. And hello, Noor. So excited to have you today on this beautiful conversation we're going to have, because you know what? Self-care, it really is not an option, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you, Tanya. So happy to be here. Thank you for this opportunity. And I love what we're going to talk about today. It's changed my life, especially after being a mom. So I can't wait to dive in.
So tell our listeners today, where are you located?
Yes, I am in sunny Tampa, Florida, and I recently got back from a really long trip to Asia. I was in Bangladesh, Maldives, Nepal, Istanbul, Turkey for a little bit. So it feels good to be back home and back into routine.
Back at home base, right? They say
Yeah.
it's always lovely when you need to or have to go somewhere else, but then to come back home, there's nothing like being back home, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So Noor, we've had a conversation before, we got together to do this episode today. And so I know a little bit about yourself, but can you tell our listeners today a little bit about, yourself and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Noor. I'm originally brought up in New York City. So I'm from Queens, New York, and my nationality is Bangladesh. So that's where I'm from. I'm Bangladeshi, and I went back to Bangladesh for medical school, and then I moved back to the States, and now I'm living in Tampa, Florida. So my medical background is in internal medicine and general surgery. However, I don't practice here in the States. My business practice is actually in private health insurance. So I found a way to really marry my medical background to my passion for entrepreneurship, and building a business. So that's what I do now. I work in the private health insurance space, and I work across 34 states of the USA.
Yeah, and when I found out about you, Noor, what really inspired me was that message that you so drive home about, the importance of self-care. And I mean, you see it in your industry being in the healthcare, but self-care, it's not an option, is it? Like self-care is, we need to ultimately, we're the only ones that can make it happen. And what's that key message that you want to share with women about self-care, about it not being an option and why it's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. Self-care is not an option. And I remember a single momentary point in my life that I had this realization and how it impacted me. And this was when my baby, my son, who just turned 2 years old, he was 4.5, 5 months, I think, just at 4.5 months. And basically, as a new mom, I hadn't slept for 5 months straight. And that's when one night in the middle of the night during a feeding, I was just up and crying and ready to just like jump off a bridge, to be very honest with you. I was just feeling depressed. I was so upset. I was just crying. I was very, very unhappy. Whoops, excuse me. Uh, Not my cat, but there you go. That has never happened before. Sorry about
That's all right.
that.
That's what no apologies. That's why I love this, because it's real, it's unauthentic,
Yeah.
unaudited, because it happens to other people too.
Yeah, that's a real life moment when you work from home. So anyway,
Yeah.
so during that moment, I was so upset. I was so devastated, and I thought, and I was having, not nice thoughts about my child. I was thinking like, I just don't care what happens to this baby. I just need to get some sleep, you know.
Mhm.
And I realized that because I was not prioritizing my self care, the person, the baby, the people around me who I love so much, they were actually suffering and they were getting harmed because I was not prioritizing my self care. And that was it. And that was when I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, why am I? It's just exactly the opposite. When you want to care for your loved ones, you have to make sure that you are taken care of first. Otherwise, they're going to suffer. They're going to get harmed because you're not taking care of yourself first. So, to be the best version of me, to be the best mom that I could, I had to prioritize my self care, and it was not an option.
Yeah, it's so true. I heard that story in my own life as well. And my kids are teenagers now. My son's 19, my daughter's going to be 16 at the end of the month. And yeah, I remember my son, he was a true colicky. Sleeping was the only time he wasn't screaming in pain and all that. And I was totally exhausted. And, my husband would come home and I would just be cry like, how was your day? And I would just break out crying, right? Break out crying. And then, finally at 6 weeks, 8 weeks, said, I gotta, like, we need fresh air. He's born in, in December. And it's like, I gotta take care of myself because yeah, I'm not having very good thoughts right now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, my husband even say, here, like, let me take him for a bit. You go for a walk or whatnot. And then finally, when I, was like, okay, it's not that cold anymore. I went for a walk. I had put my son in the jogger and we went for a walk. And you're so right. You need to take care of yourself, right? And as your kids get older, that message of taking care of yourself, making self-care priority is so important because we as parents, we as moms, we are our kids' best role models. Doesn't matter how much social media influences them, we are still the biggest role models. And we need to make a point of taking care of ourselves because we want the best for our kids. We want them
Hmm.
to take care of themselves and be healthy and all that. But if we're not doing it, what message are we sending our children, right?
Yeah.
So I love the fact that, that's something that we shared as well as, that light bulb moment, because yeah, I was being very active before, and then you become a mom and you're so
Hmm.
centered on everybody else.
Yeah.
And even, as your kids get older, you still need to focus on yourself. So, I love the fact that you're sharing, to all the other women out there that self-care doesn't stop. Self-care
Mhm.
doesn't stop when you become a mom. Self-care doesn't stop when, you're maybe an influence to somebody else in your family. So I love that. And, it's what I'm hearing too is self-care has never stopped for yourself. It's a part of your routine now. It's something that I believe you love to do. And that's why you love to talk about and share that unique message with other women. So what allows you, Noor, to make self-care still a priority every day in your life?
Yes, thank you. Love that question. And I think the more responsibilities we gain on our plates, that's when self care becomes more and more important because it directly impacts your performance.
Hmm.
Now I have to take care of my family and I have to take care of my business. So I have to be on my A game when I'm on. And I need to make sure that I have enough off moments so that my on moments, I'm at peak performance. So for me, that means sleep, getting enough sleep every day. And I come back to the sleep because this is individually I mean, no human physiologically is good with no sleep. I am just awful without sleep. So to make sure that I'm doing my best, performing my best when I'm awake, I make sure I get my sleep number. And if you don't know what that means for you, I don't go by any textbooks or whatever. It's when your body naturally feels sleepy
Hmm.
and when you naturally wake up without an alarm. That's your magic number of how
Yeah,
many hours of sleep you need every night. And you should follow that. You should follow your body, find out that magic number for you, and do it every single night.
that's
I used to joke to my husband, and a lot of Americans, I feel like, are in this rut that you're always like looking for the next vacation to get away from your life. And when can I cash out on that PTO? I feel like I get a vacation every night when I get my hours of sleep because I wake up like a brand new person. My body's regenerated, my mind is
yeah.
healed. I don't feel like I need a vacation from my life because I'm taking care of myself, my body, and my mind every single day. Getting adequate sleep.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Nor, because people think it has to be a magic number, right? Or they
Mhm.
wonder, why am I so drained? And why am I having these cravings? And why do I have no energy? And why can't I deal with it? And why are my hormones everywhere? Oh my gosh, you nailed it. You nailed it. Like sleep. It
Yeah.
is one of the
Yeah.
best things that you can do, as well as hydration, right? It's a really, really good note to make for
Yes.
everybody. Make it, nothing can, when people say, "Oh, I'm so sleep deprived." Well, then
Why?
live your, yeah,
Sleep.
why? Exactly. Why? Like even, even taking a nap when you feel like I have nothing, go for a walk or
Yeah.
take a nap. Like, it doesn't take much to do it. If
Yeah.
you find too, it's especially with women that we feel we cannot give ourselves permission to give and do what we need to make things like sleep a priority.
Yeah. And it's so, so important. And I want to address the women who say like, well, I have so much to do. I can't get to bed until 1 in the morning. And then I have to wake up at 5 in the morning for XYZ. Okay. Well, what are the things that, let's say your body needs 8 hours and you need to be in bed by 10 or 11 to get a restful night's sleep. So what are the things that you are doing between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. that's keeping you up? You need to deprioritize that. Is it washing dishes? Is it, doing laundry, putting things away? If you prioritize your sleep and get that sleep that you need, I promise you the next day when you are refreshed and have that energy, those tasks will be done faster, more efficiently, and you're not going to be mumbling and cursing under your breath and trying to point fingers at whoever's, causing you to stay up doing chores. You're going to do it happily.
Yeah, yeah. Or better yet, ask your family members to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Why are you doing everything?
Why are
Share
you
the
doing?
load.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you doing everything? So, Noor, you have this fascinating, and again, I know it's from sleep,
Yeah.
but what gets you up in the morning? What motivates you to wake up and take on your day?
Yes, thank you. I do have some morning mental routines. I would love to have more of a physical routine, but because my baby's still young, I try to get those precious moments of as much sleep as I can. So I'm hardly ever getting up before he does to do yoga and take walks and exercise, although I wish I could. I'm not there yet. But I do make sure before I get out of bed, I do a few mental exercises. And of course, that includes gratitude and planning out my day mentally with intentions. Now, before I used to take time to write out what I'm grateful for, but now I challenge myself to come up with something new that I wasn't grateful for the day before.
Mhm.
And I make sure that I do this, just really find something very specific and very new that I'm grateful for before I get out of bed. And when I plan my day, I don't talk about it like, well, this is what I'd like to do today. I say this is exactly how my day is going to go. I'm going to do this. I envision myself at my desk checking off the things that I have on my to-do list, and I envision myself with a smile on my face the whole day.
Nice.
So that's what I do is I mentally live out my day before I even get out of bed.
I love that, Nora. And what really caught my attention is you said, as it's as if you're doing it. You've set the intention. It's not what if or I will or I think. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. So your intention already is there as if you've done it and completed it. So I love that,
Mhm.
right? Because you're setting up your mindset for success. You're setting up your mindset to achieve what you want to do or to get done what you want to get done. And your mindset is like, I have done it, which makes it then no longer, oh, I gotta get this done. Oh, I gotta get this
Yeah.
done. It's fulfilling, and you will, like you said, check off your to-do list, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that mindset and the fact that you already start with that wonderful mindset already in the morning. Instead of doing all these other things first, you already wake up with that. I'll say it's a positive mindset because you're valuing yourself that you are going to do it, because what often brings down our mindset into a space of neglect or a space of non-love is thinking we're not able to do it, or you have this negative mindset because you're angry at yourself and it's frustrated because you didn't get it done. But the fact that you shift that with positive things is wonderful. So I appreciate you sharing that with everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we all have challenges. We all have challenges, that we're faced maybe every day or once a month or whatnot. What's a challenge right now, Noor, that is kind of big in your life? And, can you share your thoughts on how you're getting through this challenge or how you're facing this challenge?
Yeah, Tanya, thank you. Great question. Tons of challenges. In my mind, I'm sifting through like which one should I share because there's so darn many of them. But I would say the most underlying challenge that's so difficult to overcome, because I know I shouldn't be feeling this way, but I still feel mom guilt every single day. And I think the mom guilt is so difficult to overcome because to some extent we're fighting our inner biology and what we've been hardwired to know and believe from society, and
Yeah.
fighting against that to try to relearn new experiences and reestablish a new mental routine from all the new information we've learned. So that's definitely difficult. So my son goes to daycare 5 days a week. And it's a challenge more for me than from him, I would say, because when I drop him off, he's crying, he doesn't let me go. So it's so hard to rip your child from your body, dump him and say, bye, I gotta go work. And he's crying for you, but that's what I have to do because it's a bit of a challenge. And then when I go to work, it's very difficult for me to get out of the mindset that, oh, I just left my crying child, but now I have to perform and be efficient at work.
Yeah.
That's really hard for me. Even though I know I shouldn't be feeling the guilt, I know that I'm happy for this support. I know that in the long run, me working on my business is going to benefit my family. I know all of this, but it's still very hard every single day.
Yeah. It's interesting you brought that up. One of the things I really love about this conversation, you find out new things and you find connections. So before I became a mindset and self-care coach, I worked in childcare for 14 years. So, right, I worked
Okay,
in the
yeah,
daycare, and yeah, I'd face it as like, the mom's like, oh, or the dad's like, it's all right. If you want to call later on, go
yeah.
ahead. And, the parent would, leave and we'd be holding child, and not even in 5 minutes, they'd be all happy.
Yes. Oh, I know that too. I called and they're like, before you even walk out the door, he's perfectly fine and playing. I'm like, but that's not what I see. That's not my
Yeah,
experience.
exactly. It's,
I
it
know.
just shows that undivided love you have for your child, right? And
Yeah.
inside, and sometimes the child knows, like, I'm just going to cry
Yeah. Yeah.
because mom's not going to
And
let me go or dad's not going to let me go.
I know. And the crying, oh my gosh, I said this is just my kid or what. It's horrifying. It's like heart splitting crying. It's
Yeah,
like, why are you doing this to
yeah.
me? You know you're gonna have a great day all day. Just stop.
Oh, that's so funny. I mean, it's funny because of that connection, it's like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Oh, now, Noor, when we look around, there's people that are in a negative space, whether it's just today or they've been in this negative space for a while. But yet, what helps you to, I'll say, not get drawn into that negativity? And Noor, what helps you to maintain that positive mindset?
I have to say I need reminders all the time. So I have tools, I have apps, I have audiobooks, I have workbooks, I have my planner that I love that I return to all the time. During this time that I was traveling, I was abroad, I felt like I lost a lot of touch with some of the routine things that I do, and it put me out of alignment. So I'm like craving that routine, craving that again. So yeah, I love using the Headspace app for meditation and mindfulness. They send notifications to my phone to recenter and bring attention back to mindfulness, which I love. I use my planner, which I write down journaling and notes. And every week on Sundays, I actually sit down to plan out my week. It's one joke that I have all the time is you can have a planner, but you're not going to get anywhere if you don't take time to sit down and plan out your planner.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
know I'm heavily dependent on that, on planning out my life to help, like to manifest the life that I want. And I know a lot of people, they're like, yeah, sure, I got a planner, but you never take time to really sit down and utilize it. It's a very powerful tool.
yeah,
So I love that tool. Um, I have my gratitude journal, which I used to write in before, but now I just do more of a mental exercise because it's
yeah,
so the routine is so habituated.
yeah,
So those are some of the things that I do on a daily basis to keep reminding me. And of course, audiobooks. I have my favorite authors on audiobooks all the time. So when I'm feeling out of alignment or I need a little reminder, refreshment, I will listen to a certain chapter of The Secret. I see that behind you. I love Eckhart Tolle. Those are my go-tos, The Secret and Eckhart Tolle. When I have like a money mindset issue or
yeah,
like a relationship problem, I will
yeah,
listen to that chapter in The Secret, or
yeah,
I will re-listen to all
yeah,
of Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now
yeah,
and
yeah.
just remind myself, yeah, I love your selections back there, and those are kind of
Thank
my
you.
go-tos to bring myself back to
Yeah.
what's important.
Yeah, I gotta add a few new ones that I just finished reading too. So these are,
Yes,
yeah, I love how you noticed it. These are kind of like, yeah, kind of to
the
help other
go-tos,
people
right? Yeah,
inspire, yeah, them too.
yeah.
And the fact that you said, yeah, mindset, it's something I need to work on, right? Because it's something, I mean, I work on it too, right? And I love how you pointed out that I'm aware of if my mindset goes in a place of gets
Hmm.
away from where I want to be. I love that you mentioned you recognize that because it's so important. We need to allow ourselves to hear that we're not in the space we want to be. We need to allow ourselves to hear those negative voices. But there's a difference, right? There's a difference of letting you go down that road of, again, not liking where you are, not liking those voices. There's a difference about staying there or about, okay, I hear it, so I'm going to shift now. I'm going to do what I need to
Yeah,
do to bring me to the space of positivity, to bring me to the space of self-love, to bring me a space of self-worth, to bring me a space of give myself permission to do the things I need to do to bring me to the place of where I feel fulfillment in a wonderful, uplifting way. So, and I always say that it's one thing to hear it, but there's another thing to give it power. So and you mentioned as well, you have different tools that help you. And again, at the same time, giving permission to other people to say, seek out those tools that help you, seek the people that help you, seek ways that work for you that are going to help you. And it's a journey, right? It's you mentioned it earlier too, and I believe in the same thing, that this journey of self-care that never ends is something we need to be aware of and do as a daily practice. So you starting out your morning with feeling that gratitude, whether it's writing it down, whether it's sending it out, whether it's filling your mind with that gratitude, setting your intentions, acknowledging this journey of self-care is not an option, that it matters, that it's important. And yeah, the road is going to be full of ups and downs through motherhood or as yourself as an individual woman. But at the end, ultimately, you have the power to make those things happen that need to happen for yourself. So I feel, that's what our conversation is about. And I love it that the fact that you've pointed out things that work for you. You've been honest about your challenges. You've talked about things that you're facing, being a mom, and that letting other women know they're not alone. That's a really important message that you're sending out. And, as we're slowly drawing to a close, Noor, there's three questions I want to ask you. And they're kind of the most fun part of the conversation, because we find out a little bit more about you personally. So we all have
okay.
quotes that we ultimately love, that are in the back of the mind, or we have that written down. You have, you mentioned about your the things you write down or the positivity. So what's a quote that you love or you live by?
Hmm. There's so many, but I just noticed one. I have a sticker of it in my planner. I noticed it this morning,
Ah,
and it's progress over perfection. So, making sure that we're chipping away at our goals every single day, even if it's a little bit, and loving yourself for making that progress and not killing yourself because it's not perfect yet.
yeah, that's a good one. It's interesting that it popped up today.
Yeah, yeah, you're
That's
right.
that's really good because that's what you've been
Yeah.
sharing. A lot of what you've been sharing. Very, very nice. What advice? You've given amazing advice today, Noor. But what's maybe one piece of advice that would apply to any woman out there, whether she's, an aunt, doesn't have children herself, whether her
Mhm.
children are grown up, whether she's a new mom? What is one piece of advice we could share or you would love to share with all the women out there today?
Yes, well, I'll share something that has been very impactful for me recently in the past few months. I believe it's from The Power of Now, and there's things that we just read, and there's things that just like hit you in the face, and this was
Yeah.
very big for me, and I feel
Yeah.
like it is for a lot of women as well. And that is, if you are, there's only two situations in which you can be stressed or worrying, and that is if you're thinking about something in the past that has
Mm,
already happened, or something in the future that hasn't yet happened. So if you find yourself stressed or worrying, I want you to stop and think, has it something that has happened already, or is it about to happen? If it's happened in the past, can't do anything about it. If it's going to happen, you also can't do anything about it. So that will help just bring down your stress. And if you just think about what's happening right now, I guarantee your stresses are going to resolve. And I feel like, women are either living in those two boats. It's something in the past or something about to happen. And that just causes 99.9, 100% of our
100%.
stresses.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
You are so right. You hear it all the time, like, oh, but this is what happened before. And oh, I
Yeah.
remember this. Stop. That's the
Yes.
past. That's gone.
Yes.
But what if, or what if they think, or what if they say, who cares? Whatever they do or say, that's nothing to do with you. That's just there. That's just them, right? Or never
Hmm,
mind
hmm,
about,
hmm.
just live in the moment, have gratitude in the moment, celebrate who you are. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that is such a good point, because you are so right when you said it's always in the back of your mind, right? And
Hmm,
it affects
hmm.
every decision, almost huge, on what your decisions are, and what your thoughts are. So great. All right, Noor, you're a mom, you're a family, so you cannot include that in my last question.
Okay.
If this was a last day of your life, what is one thing that you would be the most grateful for?
My education. I
And
would say that's, yeah, that's my top value. I feel like because of my educational experiences, I have come this far, and I'm the type of person I would be in school for the rest of my life. I'm pursuing like another degree soon. So I love learning, and I feel like it's just blossomed my mind and improved my quality of life in so many ways. So I credit my life, the love I have for my family, the life that I've created and built, all to the knowledge I've gained through all my educational experiences.
and do you find too, Nora, that you there's the education that you learned, and then you take a part of that and apply it to your life? Because that's what I just heard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I think that's one of like my biggest skills is I can consume large amounts of heavy data, information, scientific papers, whatever say you, and just extract and apply what's relevant to solve a problem in my life. So I
nice.
think that's another reason why I draw so heavily to it. I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to take all the knowledge and then I want to improve my life with it. So
Yeah,
I love that. I love
yeah,
being able to do that.
nice. And it's interesting because how you apply it and see it, someone else could do it another way.
Yeah.
And the fact that you said, I've educated, but it doesn't mean that this is the way it has to go. It's taking what I've learned and applying it
Hmm.
how it's going to work for me and
Yeah.
my life and where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Education is just information, Tanya.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an institutionalized building where you get a piece of paper. Education is YouTube nowadays, right?
Exactly,
So,
exactly. It's
yeah.
like the books you talked about, right?
Yeah.
It's taking the knowledge and absorbing it, what resonates with you, and
Yes.
being in tune with that. And if you don't understand something from a book, that's okay. It's maybe you're not meant to understand
Yes.
it right now, but you can always go back to it later and apply that knowledge. Like, now I get
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So, Noor, I
Awesome.
want to thank you very much for your time today, sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your thoughts about self care, how it's not an option, your thoughts on motherhood, your thoughts on what keeps you positive and grateful, and taking baby steps and taking what works for you and making a point of saying, you can never neglect sleep because it's
Yes.
so
Number
important for
one,
everything. Number one,
everything.
everything is right. Everything you're facing in life, sleep is a priority. And you find too that maybe you're mulling over something. It's like, nope, I'm going to get a good night's sleep, and you do, and you wake up and it's like, yeah, that's all I needed, because now everything's clarified and the answers there that I was seeking.
It's everything, like you
Yeah,
said, Tanya. It will, I mean, if you're struggling and having problems, get a good night's sleep. I promise you, you will wake up with the solution to your problems.
yeah.
Sleep is everything.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for listening again to another mindful conversation. Show notes will be on the bottom to find out more about Noor. And make sure, as always, when you go to bed tonight, think about the best thing that happened. And when you wake up in the morning, feel the gratitude, send it out or write it down. Love who you are. Thank you for everyone. Take care now.